listen, this is Apostle Crystal, and I'm here with my brother, Apostle Ben Yah, and this is just an amazing time that we are in. This is the end of, we're on the other end of Yom Teruah, and I could not go without having taken the time to at least say something to the people of Yah. Usually, I have video situation where you guys can come in. It's interactive. Usually, I got graphics and all that stuff. But I'm gonna tell you something. There's a lot of things going on. There's a shift that's happening. That doesn't mean I'm done doing graphics for these seasons. You will see Yom Kippur graphics, and you'll see Atonement graphics, and you'll see the rest of the Moedim's graphics. Trust me, that's a thing for me, because I believe in speaking through those prophetic pictures. However, there are times when the Father just doesn't allow you to step into a space that you normally step into, and you have to be able to be pliable and bendable, have to be able to be flexible, because there is a shift on every level that you're on, any dimension that you go into. There has to be a shift. And I was talking about this earlier with my brother on his line, and it's about the faith to faith and glory to glory. People say that, but they don't ever see it, because they don't become the person that desires it enough to go through it, because there is a process. So we're here in Yom Teruah, and we're going to talk a little bit about what that is. I'm going to see which direction the Father wants me to go in for tonight, but it's so much to talk about for this season. And I'm going to bring my brother to the line just so he can greet you guys, and we can go on and say something to you.
Well, holy shalom to each and every one of you. And I want to say celebrating and just rejoicing with the peace of trumpet, Yom Teruah. And it's just wonderful to be with my sister today. It's just wonderful. And I rejoice. And, it's just been tremendous. Like she said, just so many things are happening simultaneously all at the same time. And it's wonderful and marvelous in our sight.
It really is. As I'm thinking about that shift, it's really important that we understand, from a place of maturity, what the things of Yah look like. All of them are about a process that leads us to a divine destination that's not a stopping point. Because usually when people think of destination, they think of, I get there and I'm done. But that's not even reality in real life. We get to destinations and we're in and out of the destination. If we reside in and out of this space, if we're going there frequently, we're frequenting it and we're leaving it. We just have to understand that the journey, it has a purpose to take us to a divine place. And that's not just the location, but it is the expression that the Father is looking for out of the journey. That is, I am finding, and I believe I heard somebody say this today, it was so powerful, because I was like, you took the words out of my mouth. Speaking my language, because people are so confused about so many things, because other people can be confusing because they don't know what they're talking about. When I say that, they don't know what it is. Talk about it is what I'm saying. So what it is that they're approaching the subject of to talk about it. So they're just saying things. They're saying things because they sound right. They're saying things because they're religious things to say. And none of these things are beneficial to those that are hearing it. Matter of fact, it's doing more harm in a lot of cases than it is good, brother.
You're right.
Yes. It's an amazing time that we're in. Go ahead, brother. That's what I was
I was just, I'm agreeing with you, because, people are saying a whole lot. They're librarians, but there's no life, there's no experience. They're just saying things, and it's just out there, and they're doing more harm than good, because as we listen, as we take in, we're eating. People are eating what you say, through the ear gates, and what's being read. So the people, and so when people taking in things that's just it's no spirit, there's no truth, it's just fables and
Yeah.
philosophies and religiosity, quotes and things like that, and people are taking that in, and they're being fed. They're being fed this, and people are eating and getting spiritual indigestion. They're getting sick, and it's very obvious that people are sick because of what's happening. We can see the results of these the things that are being said. Whatever platform, whether it's the platform in a building, a media platform, we can see that. And people are just literally just vomit, vomiting, just regurgitating, and we can see it. Their lifestyle depicts on what they're eating and what's being served. So it's just we can see that.
Wow. I love that. The lifestyle is a depiction of what they're eating. It's the manifestation of what they have consumed. And that is
Hmm.
such a powerful point. But we're going to talk about Yom Teruah a little bit tonight. That was just an opener. We're going to share some of the things that have been on my heart, and this is why these times are so important.
Yes, yes, yes.
Important that the Father calls us to. He calls these His appointed times.
Hmm. Hmm.
About that, thinking about
Hmm.
appointed time that somebody set, and they have an expectation as they set the time for something to happen.
Hmm.
The question,
Hmm.
when you respond to the appointment, don't you also expect something to happen, or do you think you just go to an appointment and you just sit there? Nothing.
Hmm.
No appointment that you ever make with anybody do you just go and sit.
Hmm.
Transact.
Hmm.
There's a
Hmm.
transactionary period, and something has to take place. Something has to happen. It's the purpose of the appointment.
Yes, yes,
You know what
yes.
I'm saying? And so there's
Hmm.
no necessity for an appointment unless there's an expectation,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
unless there's a strategy. We were talking earlier on your line, Brother Apostle, about wins, right?
Yes. Hmm.
This is so important to me because we have to understand that the Father is strategic in everything that He does.
Hmm. Hmm.
We are finding that people are more interested in running from the things that He intentionally does
Hmm.
to position us than
Hmm.
to it and just letting go. I was talking about letting go earlier.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
The wind is blowing and you're trying to hold on to something, but you got to identify what wind it is.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
It's from relationship,
Yes, yes, yes.
age, well, divine relationship, particularly
Hmm.
for the sons. As you understand the divine relationship between yourself and the Father, then you identify when He's speaking. You remember the prophet, you remember him going out on the mountain, right?
Hmm.
Say who, I must say the story and you tell me the prophet. Goes out and right. He's just got done dealing with the prophets of Baal, and he goes to run because he has this conversation. We talk about conversation, right? He has this conversation with a messenger of Jezebel. Oh my God!
Right, right.
You're right. Go
Hmm.
feel something here. I'm feeling this presence pressing me. You know,
Mm.
he begins to run because he hears the messenger of this one who wants to destroy him
Hmm. Hmm.
because of who he is and what he does and what his capacity is. There is a message that's sent out that says, I am going to destroy you. I'm going to take your life. I'm going to wipe you out. And he begins to run, and now he's out. He's in a cave. First he was under the tree. Now he's in a cave, right? And he
Hmm.
this when he is called out of that cave to stand on that ledge, to just stand there on the mouth of the cave, and then something happens. He realizes that Yah wasn't in the fire. He wasn't in all of the expressions that were happening around him at the moment. But he had to identify the still small voice. Now, let me say this to you, because a lot of people miss this. In that moment, this is not a one size fits all, because sometimes Yah is in the fire. It's just in that instant, he was not in the fire. He was not in the earthquake. But there are times that he is. What this conversation is really about is the fact that he was able to identify and locate where the Father was, so that he could reconnect, because he was kind of disconnected. He was a little disjointed. And so there were things happening all around him, right? To take his attention off of the relationship. But because of the relationship, he was able to identify where Father was. You ask the 3 Hebrew boys, was he in the fire? They would tell you absolutely he was. You ask Daniel, was he in the lion's den? He'll tell you unequivocally he was in the lion's den. You understand what I'm saying? You ask Joseph, was he in the pit? He'll tell you absolutely he was in the pit. If you ask him if he was in the prison, Joseph will tell you he was there. And this is how the connection was made. This is not a one size fits all, but the purpose of the conversation is for us to identify the relationship, through relationship, where Abba is. Where is he? Because there are times when you're used to something, it's a consistency, and you're used to something a certain way. Like I'm telling you, I usually have graphics. We're always, we're on other platform, and we got the graphics behind us. And why is, that's not the main point. So the Father said, listen, I love that you do all of that, but right now your back is against the wall. You've been so busy with the doors that I'm opening. You've been so busy walking through doors, you ain't had no time for nobody else graphics. You was doing graphics for folks for that you were building with them, that you had to come in and build that event for them. That was the focus. So the doors had to be open, right? One of the verses that stood out to me in this season, and we're going to go deeper into this in the next couple of days. This is the one that he began to talk to me about. And it is it's in Isaiah 54. Enlarge the sight of your tent, right? Yeah, this is what he began to talk to me about. I'm going to go to it. Let me open it up. I'm going to open it up because this is so serious to me. I'm going to start at verse 1. Can we read a little bit? Start at verse 1. And it says, sing, O barren, thou that didst not bear. Break forth into singing, and cry aloud, thou that didst not travail with child. There's a reiteration. There is a consistency here of communication. There is a repeating here for a reason. It says sing first, didn't bear nothing. Then it said break forth into singing and cry aloud. Before you take something away, you need to add something to it. Because you didn't even get to travail yet. You didn't even go through that process. You don't even know what that feels like. You don't even know what that looks like, right? For more are the children of the desolate than the children of the married wife, saith Yah. Now, what is this? What is this about? He's saying, listen, you have gone through seasons where you were unable to bear. Now, you saw the vision of you bearing. You saw the vision of what you were supposed to bear, but you were unable to bear. You know why? Because of connection. Because I talk about connection all the time, but what you have to understand is how important the connection is. Not just with the Father, but what you connect to is going to ultimately decide what your cycles are going to look like. I have a saying, your circle determines your cycles. And what you're connected to is going to determine what the cycle of your life looks like. They have a saying in the world that says, listen, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. It's biblical.
Yes.
And so,
Yes. Yes.
brother, say something.
Mm-hmm.
Say something, brother.
Oh, okay. I'm telling you, I'm all in. I'm waiting for the next. I'm waiting for the next thing to come out.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh my goodness. You caught me off guard, and I was so focused in on what you're saying. You know, about this, and just you could determine your future with your friends, and so I was caught up in that, and yet cry loud, you know uh, sing
go ahead. Say
singing and cry loud,
something.
yeah, you who have not labored with child. So it is something, because I'm waiting for you to go on into the next one, and I'm excited because it's it's time. It's time. I promise you, it is time. And but yeah, uh, go ahead, sis. You kind of caught me off guard because I'm all into what you're saying. Wouldn't expect to say nothing right then and there.
Listen, It's, it's amazing. This is amazing. So, listen, he said, do something.
Hmm.
The thing that he said to do was to open your mouth.
Hmm. Hmm.
Open your mouth. And you saying, well, it hasn't happened yet. No, it's already happened. You just live in a different time.
Hmm. Hmm.
Needing to be born into Kairos because you keep living in Chronos.
Mm.
He said you need to do something because something has already happened. He declared it without even a travail or a pregnancy here.
Hmm. Hmm.
Do something. Then he
Hmm.
that goes, this is, oh man, this is just so powerful to me.
Uh-huh.
Because we get in those places where we feel like we cannot, like, oh my God, how did I get, what in the world am I here for? Somebody asked me the other day, somebody that I love, they begin to talk about their regrets and they begin to ask me questions about how I arrived in a space and how I feel about the space. And I said, I feel fine. I feel just absolutely wonderful. And
Hmm.
on top of that, I have no regrets. I'm too mature for regrets because I understand by way of the spirit that the purpose of those things that I have gone through or enduring are simply about processing me into the diamond or the gold or whatever element it is that I need to be,
Hmm.
whatever moment is approaching me.
Hmm. Hmm.
Without those things, I don't get to become. Because becoming is not free. It's going to cost you something.
Hmm. Hmm.
Say something because I hear my grandbabies coming. I want
Oh.
to break through the door.
And so, as I'm looking at this, coming in, you're coming into something, and something is manifesting. You stuck, but you don't see that you're stuck. You got to see with the eye of faith, knowing that you're going. Here's a process taking you through, as you were talking about the shift, taking you're going through something to get to a destination. And when you get to the destination, it's about following through, And so as we are, shifting and speaking, speaking, in other words, I even hear this calling those things which be not as though they already were. That type of faith, that the faith of Yah, and using that, and because there's things that has already happened. Every now and then, I might share. We've caught up to what has already been spoken before the foundation of the world. We got to know that that has already been done. We got to know that even right now, as we are in this conversation, This conversation has taken place already before the foundation of the world. And if we know this, we are coming into agreement with was already spoken about where we are we're living in the future. We're living in the future because it already was. And so we have to see that we got to know that it already was. And so that as we see this in the manifestation, we got to know that it's already that we come in agreement with everything that has preordained that Yah said is going to happen. We in agreement with that, knowing that once we come in an agreement with that was already has been spoken, like this conversation. This conversation has already taken place. And so we come in an agreement with already has taken place, and everything that comes out of this conversation that Yah already know that's going to the results of the fruit that comes from this conversation, we are in agreement, it will come to pass. It's come to pass. And so I to see this, to know this, to speak this, to know that. But here's the thing: when you don't know it, when you don't see it, you see, it's going to create what are you speaking? What are you saying? Are you speaking are you speaking death to a situation? Are you speaking death to a situation? So when we look at death, is it your mouth causing your body to sin?
Woo.
What are we speaking? Are we speaking with the breath of death or the breath of life?
Ooh-wee.
When we don't see it, we're gonna speak something. And it's interesting when we all going through a shift. And what are you speaking when you're going through the shift? Because we need joy to go in through the shift. Because the joy in Yahweh is our strength in the shift. It could be. So what we're saying does make a difference. Oh my.
Absolutely. And while you were talking, as you were talking about the shift, I began to think about tectonic plates. And how, okay, thank you, baby. I began to think about tectonic plates and how this concept of the plates shifting is what creates situations. It's the floor. And you got to think about this for a minute, because this was not my intention, but it's just another layer of evidence for me that the earth is flat. Because how can you have a floor if you have something round? But it's the floor of a thing, and those plates shifting a situation, right? And you got to be okay with the shift, because the shift is necessary in order for things to change. It's all about the shift because it's all about the change.
Absolutely.
It's about the shift because it's all about the glory. I don't get glory in us being stuck.
No.
A lot of people who are stuck. But are stuck. And where they're stuck is really it's not fruitful at all. It's not beneficial, but yet they're continuing in that path where there is no benefit. And it's just absolutely amazing. Here's another T word that I've been hearing in this season. I think I pulled up another verse too. I'm going to finish that verse though. Tactician. I talked about it earlier.
There should be.
This word really, it did something to my spirit when the Holy Spirit spoke to me. Tactician is a person who uses a carefully planned strategy to achieve a specific end. A tactician is somebody who is skilled in tactics. which is connected to military prowess.
Yes, exactly.
And so I began to sit down and write some things out the other day as the Holy Spirit began to share some things with me about even just about military war strategy, because this is really where the children of Yah are and have always been. However, now that we are aware of the war, it almost seems as if the war is absolutely raging. The waging of the war seems so much more aggressive. But here's the reality. It's probably always been aggressive. Is that when you don't see something, you don't comprehend that. You don't have anything to define a thing with, so you don't see it as it is. But the together of a war strategy, it involves a series of systematic steps. Operate things like intelligence, planning, execution.
Yes.
Get stuck in any of these steps, you don't get to execution. And even if you get stuck in execution, because now here's the thing, you didn't arrive at an end, you arrived at a defined destination, but it's not an end because there's still movement that's got to happen.
Yes.
So there is a systematic system in place. There's a series of steps, is what I'm trying to say, that are required for you to get to the execution phase to see the outcome. Intelligence is one of them. You said, what does that have to do with Yom Teruah? Many people don't have enough sense to know that the reality is that where the world got holidays from is from holy days. The enemy will always take what the Father has done to gain the glory for himself.
Yeah.
It's what he's always done. He takes it and he twists it. And the reason why you believe it is because it has enough scent of truth to it to deceive you. It's not deception unless there's some kind of truth connected to it.
Right.
I was sharing earlier about this. Did you get the image of that of Mickey Mouse? I was talking about Mickey.
Oh, yes. Yes.
It's an older version of him. And he has on the magician's coat.
Yeah, right. And
he has this wand in his hand.
The wand in his hand. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just break it down for a minute, right? He's got on this coat. He's got on a mantle, okay, that represents something, i.e., the power that or the source of his power. Okay? He's got this wand in his hand, i.e., the rod, right? Which is the identity of an authority, right? But he takes this wand and he puts it in the air, stretches his right hand, and he puts it in the air, and he twirls it in a circular motion. And as he's twirling it, things begin to move. Exactly. Things are moving. And what it made me think about was the winds and how sons have command over the winds. You say, well, what is this? Well, Yom Teruah, because you have to have a position. Religion makes it about a trumpet or a physical thing. They just make it about a shofar. But you got to understand that we are, since the master came and he did a work and finished a work, we now are the thing that was then. Are the manifestation of that conversation. And the Father took us through the training. We hear of the conversation that he had from the beginning regarding those things that were out of order, not operable, not functional, serving no purpose and bringing forth no manifestation of divine fruiting. Right? This is what it has to do with Yom Teruah, understanding that your voice is the sound. Yes. Your voice is the thing that is going to wage war against your enemy. Your voice. I had a dream many, many years ago, brother. And I don't share this all the time, but I will share it. I don't have a problem sharing it now. But in the dream, I was challenged. I was watching. Originally, I was watching. Let me see. I was in a stadium kind of setting, but I was teaching some people. And so this adversary comes in. You know how the stadium had where you enter in at, you got the seats, it's like an angle, you know, because the seats go up. And so you come in through that little entryway, right? This entity comes through the entryway and he's just standing there and he's watching me. And he's almost watching in antagonism, because you understand, spirit speaks spirit. Spirit don't speak, you know. So you can identify a thing by just the presence of a thing, right? And so he's standing there, and I am identifying by the presence of the thing this antagonistic kind of situation. And so I just stopped teaching for a minute. I said, "What do you want?" And so I had somebody else come down, and you know, one of the people that was with me, you know, one of the other teachers. I said, "Can you come finish this? Come finish this now, people." And he just shoots off, and I said, "Oh no, we ain't doing that today." I go after him in the dream. I go after him, and I said, "What do you want?" And he looks at me and he says, "I hate your voice, I hate your words, and I hate your..."
Wow. Wow.
I
Ooh-wee.
hate your voice, I hate your words, and I hate your song. What hates is my frequency. No matter what expression the frequency takes, he was just covering the territory
Ooh-wee.
that comes from me. Now, as he's saying this thing, I said something that it was so funny, because this to me is an express, and I hadn't thought about this when I was getting ready to tell y'all the story, because I didn't even remember this part until, as I'm telling the story, I'm remembering what was going on, because I was just going to tell you about another part, but I'll tell you that after this. After that encounter with him, how the encounter ended was me shouting to him, "Yo, mama!" I shout at this diabolic entity, "Yo, mama!" And when I tell you, he vanished, right? So in the process, I ran again behind him, and I'm saying stuff to him. You know, he get in his truck and he tried to get away. We on a loading dock. I know all of this got something to do with something. Now that I'm bringing it back up, there's a reason why Holy Spirit is bringing it back up, because now I'm going back through it and I'm identifying some things. We were on a loading dock, and he's in this truck to get out of here, right? So I come back, and as I come back, I'm looking down this hallway. As I'm coming back, I'm standing. I stop because I see this aggregation coming down the hallway, but they're in a single file, you know? Oh, these are demonic entities. They look at me. I saw them. They never looked at me. They were just walking single file down a hallway and turning a corner. But one in particular stood out to me, brother. He had his mouth open, but his tongue was wiping across the wall as he walked.
Oh my.
Yeah. His tongue was painting a picture as he walked. Oh my God. And I remember when I woke up from this dream, I asked the Father, "Yo, mama?" Like, "Yo, mama?" I said, "Well, what would make him run at me shouting, 'Yo, mama'?" And the Father said to me, "It's not what you said, it's who you are. It's the authority of the speech." This is why he said what he said, because he recognizes the authority of your speech. He hates it. What you see, what you say?
Ooh-wee. You just said a whole lot. I'm trying to figure out where I want to start.
Listen.
So in that part of the dream, you said your mama.
I mean, to the thumbs.
Right. And with such authority. And so it's interesting when you back in the day, you capping on each other and everything, and your mama this and your mama that, and it's interesting that there are times that you could go to, talk with people, and then when somebody say your mama,
Ooh-wee.
it shifts everything. It does. So as we were talking today,
Hmm.
wisdom on wisdom,
Yeah.
righteous wisdom and wisdom of unrighteousness. They're
Hmm.
both they're females,
Hmm.
okay? Female spirit. So it's interesting that here is a demon,
Hmm.
but because remember you said don't like your voice, don't like your singing, don't like nothing when you open up your mouth, don't like nothing that you say.
Just shut up, for real.
So now when you said your mama,
Hmm.
it was just like somebody screeching.
I lost brother. Unmute yourself, brother. It was like somebody did what? Come on.
I don't know what happened.
There you go.
It went.
There you go. It was like somebody did what?
I'm sorry. I'm like, what happened? I ain't even touching my phone. But anyway, it's just like, so when somebody say, your mama, it shifts everything. But here's an entity that don't like your voice, don't like you to sing, don't nothing that comes out of your mouth, it can't stand. So when you have wisdom upon wisdom, righteous and evil wisdom, and what have you, then you say your mama. So it's like somebody have fingernails going across a chalkboard
We.
because he can't stand nothing you say. And you talking about mama, the wisdom of Satan. Say,
Ooh, we.
and it had to go because it can't stand it. And with such authority, I'm talking about your mama. So in other words, when I say your mama, I'm coming after your mama. Your mama is going to get it. So that's when you were saying that, that just went through my thoughts. But however, the voice of the last trumpet, the voice of the last trumpet of what's being said, very powerful that's coming forth right now, as you're saying. The voice, the sound, what is being said, the sound, because the sound in the voice you're going to raise the dead because the authority that's in the sound right now.
Mm.
The voice. And so as you were talking about the spiritual side. So I went to the law because it talks about, and I read this today, it talks about blowing the shofar on the new moon during the
Yes.
times of war and tribulation.
Yes.
Because when you blow it, it's a memorial to remind Yahweh that Yahweh is right there with you. So understanding that they had people still do the physical, but now we're in the spiritual part of this, where we are the trumpet, as you said.
Yes.
And so when we lift up our voice, what war? There's war going on. There's war. You talk about the tactician. In military, there's a method of instructions. MOI, method of instruction.
Mm.
Here's the things that we need to do because there are instructions. If you don't follow the instructions, there could be destruction.
Oh my God.
There's the tactic. There's the intelligence of the ground war, the war off the water, the ships, the air. Everybody has to have their instructions because there has to be a strategic strategy working together. Everybody, okay, there's the ground war. There's a specific time when there's the ground war. So when you even look at that the war that dealing with Israel and what they're fighting right now. They're fighting right now Lebanon.
Uh-huh.
And they were doing airstrikes. So Benjamin Nahum, he just said, well, we're gonna move from the airstrikes and we're getting ready to do the ground war. We get ready to do the ground war. Here's another strategy. So we're successful with the air, but now we're going to change the strategy and go to ground war.
My.
So everything so when we think about Yah, so now when the voice is raised, when the voice is lifted up, because now it's a gathering, the trumpet, the voice of the last trumpet, when the speaker is not, it's time to gather. It's time to come together. It's time for a strategy to take place, because right now Yah has declared war on the enemy.
Oh my.
And Yah said, I'm going to get everything back that has been perverted. I'm going to take it back and clean it up. Just like you were talking about Mickey Mouse and the cloak of the wizard and all like that, the wand and everything. I'm going to take it back, because Yah would say, no, you don't have to use a staff. You're going to use your hand.
Come on now. Come on.
You're going to, because remember, the wand was in Mickey Mouse's right hand, the right hand of authority. The right hand of authority, always. And it's interesting, when you talk about somebody, the right hand of authority, when you look at governments today, it's always the right and the left, the right side and the left side. And the right side is the one that's always just the one that seems like it has more authority than the left. Think about our government today. The right side is doing a whole lot to try to control everything. The right side of authority. Right side of authority. So it's interesting, because when we understand spirit and truth, and I think about the right side of authority, and so when I think about Moshe, when there was the ground war, when he was they was fighting, and remember he had his hands, palm of his hands lifted up, both of them. He didn't say a word.
Yes.
He didn't say, because now his body is a weapon.
Come on.
But there was the ground war. But when he got tired, then they began to lose the ground war. Because there is a strategy. There is a strategy. And so it takes spirit and truth to complete. Because that says spirit plus truth equals glory.
Yes.
And when the glory is there, then the enemy don't have a chance, because it's judging everything and going to take back everything that has been stolen. And Yah said, now I'm bringing you in. I'm going to, so that there's that remnant. I'm shifting you in. Yes. I'm shifting. There's shift, because there's going to be a shaking. There's going to be a shaking. But my strategy is that if you follow the method of instruction, the shift won't be a destruction to you. It'll be a blessing for you.
That's it.
You see, and so when we get to speak, because Yah said, once we begin to master the air, once we begin to master the air, that means we got to master what we say. Woo! To begin to speak to the atmosphere air. He said, once you begin to master that, and when you begin to do this, yes, and begin to master, you're going to begin to see as you speak in the atmosphere that the wind that keeps you, the breath, the air, the wind that keeps you alive, now it's a blessing for you, but now it becomes a weapon.
Yes. You know what I love about this, so powerful, because got to understand that the winds are external and internal. So when I look at Ezekiel's situation, he has internal winds because of what was breathed in him and the authority that was given him. to deal with external situations, external, you know. And I just think it's such a powerful way that the Father created the earth. I think it's a full way. And you hear, you know, New Agers and these kind of different kinds of people talking about everything is connected. It absolutely is.
Right.
It's been connected. That's not anything new. It's just that y'all won't give glory to y'all.
Come on now. Come on. Come on.
Y'all not gonna give y'all glory. You're gonna give the plants glory. You're gonna give the sun glory. You're gonna give all the glory to something that was created just like you, and that don't make sense. I was having a thought about
My goodness.
something earlier, and I'm trying to bring it back because it just kind of went through my mind. That's why but it had something to do with having an answer for people. And the truth of the matter is, if you have relationship, you have an answer. You know, people that are talking about, oh, they're atheists or they don't believe or whatever. So the question is, what do you believe? You know, I'm listening to a lot of young people, and it seems they having all these conversations about they don't believe the Bible and they don't really believe this or that, right? But the fact is you believe something. So then my question is, where did you get it from? Where did you get that from?
Right.
Something that you can't believe a thing that you were never exposed to. There has to be some kind of exposure. It doesn't have to be long-term exposure, but it has to be some kind of exposure, even if it is something that you're connected to. I was recently, this was brought up earlier too. So check this out. So when you think about, don't smack, baby, I'm live. When you think about the crystal ball, right? The Father has created certain things, and then the enemy comes and tries to twist it or contaminate it, because by the earth being flat and we have this dome over us. Where's the concept of looking into this round thing come from? It comes from a place they're trying to see into something. Well, you know, the Father is all seeing. Position that he's seated in allows him to see it all.
Yes.
And so we got this convoluted way of looking into things, but it's a mockery of the Father's ability and his whole reason for being is seeing, knowing, and all of these different things. But I was that just kind of took me to the side. But we're talking about what the Father's desire is in this season is to take his people back to their original setting.
Yes.
And it's no longer a conversation. You're not going to avoid. The truth of the matter is, if you refuse to be a divine prophet, you're going to be a witch in this season. It's just what it is. In purpose. It's a design. It's how you and it's so amazing to me because people are disgruntled, they're upset, they are angry. All of these things are a result of being out of purpose. So what happens when you're out of purpose and you're angry and you're bitter and you're all of these things? You begin into dimensions of witchcraft. Because rebellion is the place that you're in when you're refusing to step into the divine purpose of your life. You are rebelling against that. Saying you gotta let go because the wind, yes, but let it blow. Are the best example I could use of this. You know, even if you grew some things in a little dome, in a little, you know, in one of the little growing kits, right? At some point, you've got to replant it. And planting is for the purpose of strengthening it, making it adaptable to its environment. So if you don't put it in a position where the wind can blow it, the neck of that plant will be so weak it is unable to hold the fruit. I hope you got that. If you're not in a position where you are blown, where there are strong winds that blow in your direction, you are your spiritual neck will be so weak you can't even bear the fruit. All fruit. Because you'll break at the weight of the thought of fruit. It's a really serious situation.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
You know what I was thinking about too when you were talking? I was thinking about Jericho. You know, is what is this? It's Yom Teruah. It's the blast. It's the sound. At this place, they had to follow some instructions to be take the city. This military strategy was be silent. And I have been in this season for a good little minute here, where not allow me to say things to people. And it's so funny because I had a sister call me the other day and she was talking about her children, and everybody has these, you know, times and these seasons and these sections where they're dealing with different things as it pertains to their children, no matter what age they are. But I told her this because she was sharing some things, and I said to her, and she calls me for this. This is why she calls me, because she wants to hear what y'all's going to say about a situation. And so I said to her in that moment, I had never said it before. In that moment, I had a revelation, and I said to her, I refuse to allow the enemy to make me curse my seed.
Oh my.
Just chew on that for a minute.
Yes.
You have to identify what's behind what's being done. This is Teruah. You understand? This is the loud blast and all of that's about frequency. So you mentioned Moshe and how he was sitting there. He hadn't lifted his arms, but guess what? In his heart, he had already said, "We are winning this. We're going to win." And this is why he was positioned where he was positioned, because he went there not just to fight, but to make sure that it was clear to the adversary that they had no power. Look at David. David standing on the battlefield. The first thing he does, because he recognizes something is happening, so he gets in the transaction with this particular enemy. And this, again, these are not one size fits all situations. Shut up, right? Sometimes shut up may make you look weak, but guess what? You're the strongest. When you think you look weak, Yah is doing so strong in you for the to the place that he's calling you to, because you can't be mature, a mature son. You can't be mature in the things of Yah and be able to be led about by every wind. Every wind. Go ahead, brother. Say something.
Listen.
Listen, Linda. Linda.
Oh my goodness. Yes. So, you know, you were talking about the plant and the replanting, you know, and the wind, and how that is important, you know, as to stabilize. And so there are a couple of things, you know, when the wind beats against the house and the rain comes, there's a lot of wind. But if the house not built properly off the foundation, it falls.
Oh my.
So then there's the house that has the rock foundation, and the wind beats, and the rain comes, and the wind beats, and it comes, and the house still stands. And it's just like a palm tree. You know, you could go through the hurricanes right now. They had a hurricane. There's no hurricane. There's no palm trees that's uprooted. The roots. So it's how the roots grow. They fan out and they find other roots, especially its own. It can identify with its own roots.
Absolutely.
Identify with another palm tree root, and it goes and goes and goes and goes, and it could go for miles. But then here's the hurricane over here, and the trees they're not uprooting because it could be 20 miles away. And is upholding the tree that's in the hurricane. But it's interesting when you said replant.
Yes.
Replant.
I knew you would catch that.
Replant, because I feel like, hey. Listen, there's a replanting because he has to restore us. He's restored us. No, first he redeemed us, restored us back to a place where to him, where with him, back to a garden that he's replanting.
My God.
So as he's replanting this garden, because now we got to understand there was the physical garden. Now we're talking about the spiritual garden, bringing us back and restoring us to our original state of immortality.
Woo! Trying to tell you. I keep telling you.
The original, the glory upon our life. And so therefore we have the ability, and he's bringing us back to that, to regain and to take back everything that's happening in the world, the universe, everything. He's preparing a body, a glory body.
Oh my.
The blood, I'm not saying when people, hear the blood cover, the blood cover, the blood cover. Well, that's done. Now we got another covering. Well, you want to call it the blood glory covering. We're covered with his glory as like the blood. That's our glory. That's our blood glory right now to cover us. And so, because understand, as he replanting this garden, and we're going through all the things. We're tested by the wind. We're tested by the water. And God said they can stand. They can withstand everything that I'm putting them through. Why? Because now I've replanted them. And so now they can operate in the ability that they came into this world with. Now I can declare war because they're not walking in disobedience. They're not walking in death. Now death will run from them. Oh. Death wouldn't have no part of the immortal, of glory. Come on. So therefore, there won't be no dis-ease. There won't be no sickness. It will run from you. Why? Because we're now coming back, being restored, and there's a garden that's being planted, because now wherever I go, my place is a garden, and so nothing can penetrate. Okay. All right, sis.
Listen, so good. I promise you, it's just good. This is Yom Teruah. This is what these things have to do with Yom Teruah. It's about it's about the release. It's about the cry. So let's go back to the verse. Y'all ready? Go back to the verse. It said, enlarge the place of thy tent. We talk about this Isaiah 54, right? Ain't nothing happened yet. He's talking about the future of Zion. Future. Okay? He says, sing, you're barren. Break forth into singing and cry loud. Don't take that away from it, add to it, because you have not had an opportunity to travail yet. You ought to be singing, you ought to be shouting, you ought to be crying loud. The reality is that something has already taken place that hasn't taken place in your physical world, but it already was declared and decided prior to when. So do something about it. Now I'm going to go, because now I'm going to tell you to make space. Enlarge the place of your tent and let them stretch forth the curtains of thine habitation. Spare not. Don't just do a little bit. Lengthen your cords and strengthen your stakes. That means something about to happen is so big. Something's about to happen that's so big, it's going to stretch this tent to the place where it could break. It's going to stretch this tent to the place that it could break. You're going to need to make sure these stakes are strengthened. You need to make sure that these cords is thick. Let it stretch forth the curves because you need some room now. You focused on what you haven't bore yet, what you haven't birthed, that you feel like you haven't been pregnant. You are impregnated for sure. But that you feel like you haven't gotten to the place of travail, because many people understand that they're pregnant. They just haven't gotten to the place of travail yet, delivery, right? That's what it says, for thou shalt break forth right hand and on the left. And thy seed shall inherit the Gentiles and make the desolate cities to be inhabited. I want to say something about that. Say something.
Ooh. So as you read it, I went to Revelation chapter 11, verse 1.
Already know.
And there was given to me a reed like a measuring rod. And the Malik stood saying, rise, measure the temple of Yah and the altar. That's for the remnant. And its confinements where they worship within. Verse 2, but the courtyard outside the temple leave out. Measure it not, for it is given to the Gentiles.
Oh my.
And the holy city they will tread underfoot 3.5 years. Ooh, you said you said they're speaking to the future. My mind went to the future of Revelations.
Yeah.
And from the future of Revelations, where we at now?
We right
here. The courtyard, because that remnant is the high priest. That remnant is the high priest. Don't measure that because it's only a remnant of those. The true worshipers. The true worshipers.
Yeah.
But don't measure the courtyard. Ooh, but like you said, it's going to expand. You got to strengthen that stake because it's expanding, increasing that inheritance. But anyway,
that's something. A lot of stuff on my mind in this season.
Yes.
A lot of stuff. He's been sharing a lot of things, and all with that frequency, that war of the frequency.
Yes, yes.
How the frequency affects everything else, like wind, water.
Yes.
Wind affects the land. What we say affects what's flowing through us. What we say affects what our physical bodies will be subject to.
Oh, sis. As you said, frequency, no frequency.
Come on.
And so you talk about the elements. What water, no water.
Yep. Fire, no fire.
Fire, no fire. Earth, no earth.
Yes.
Air, no air. So if I speak the frequency that is,
yes,
there is results. And yet all of the elements work together in order for the plant to grow.
Listen. That's
like you said, need air, need wind, need water, there's the earth, and yet need the fire, the sun, spirit.
That's absolutely right. When we were talking before, I wrote down this phrase because we're talking about the necessity of the wind. The wind requires wind.
Yes.
The wind, W-I-N, requires wind, W-I-N-D.
Yes, yes. Come on now.
It's necessary.
Woo.
We don't have to run from the test. We don't have to run from the trial. If you've been given a course of study, then they're going to test you. I don't understand what this thing is with people who say they're believers and don't want to go through nothing. The going is for the purpose of you coming out.
Yes, yes, yes.
Went in with. And this is the place we are in. We're about to get off here in a minute because I could talk all night, but we're not going to do it. When I tell you I'm exhausted from the doors, that's one of those things too that people don't understand. You praying for something, you don't know what you're asking for yet. This is because what you asked for was not denied. It's in process. So what do I mean process if it already happened? You're being the person that you need to be to receive what you asked for. Because it's not happening the way that you want it to happen.
Right.
Then it hasn't happened, and that he's saying no, and that he hasn't answered. No, look at your life and see, is it not indicative of someone in process to get to? That's all it is.
Yes.
You can say it different, because Teruah is about your breath. It's about your sound. It's about the frequency of you. And if the frequency of you does not align with heaven's declaration, then you war within yourself that's creating a war without yourself. You got a war without, all because you can have war without but not have war within. Many 1,000 shall fall at my side, 10,000 at my right hand, right? But it won't come nigh me. I'm only going with my eyes. You can see things outside of you that are at war, but not having it. Allow you to walk through the valley of the shadow.
I become the eye of the storm.
Come on now, that's the safest place.
Everything outside of it is chaotic, but on the inside.
On the inside.
Okay.
There is the inside. Something. You got something. Again, these are Yah's feasts. These are nobody. These are Yah's feasts.
Absolutely.
He declared it from the beginning, and the only time he said your feast was when them Negroes got on his nerves and refused the instruction. And he said, "I hate your feast." He didn't say, "I hate mine." He said, "No, I hate the thing you doing. I don't like that."
Nope.
In alignment. It's not in alignment with my purposes. It's not in alignment with my declaration.
You trying to make me serve death.
You trying to make me serve you.
Right.
Think about that. What y'all serving us?
Oh my goodness.
Crazy thought, right?
Yes.
Thoughts, brother? Because we're gonna let him go.
I you know what? I don't have no more. You know, there's a lot, but I'm just gonna relax. Let it marinate now.
We got 8 more days to have conversation. We got 8 days coming up to have conversation. You know? Yeah.
Yes, and you over there making quilts over there, so it's time to let go.
It's time to let go. I'm trying to tell you, the doors are crazy.
Yeah. Oh my, this has been rich. It's been rich. It's been rich.
Signing me.
Thank you for the conversation.
Yes, absolutely. I'm thankful for the conversation. She asked many years ago, she prophesied my spiritual mother. She said, "You asking Yah how long?" And she kept saying, "Not long." But you understand that long is predicated on the mind that you're in. Because you can really hasten a situation. Ask the woman whose daughter was grievously vexed with the devil. The Mashiach wasn't even there for her. He was there for the children of Israel. He was there for the household that he came out of. And she said a few words. There go that sound. There go that blast. She said a few words. She said, "Master, even," first of all, she declared who he was. "Master, even the dogs eat the crumbs that come from them." He said, "I can't even deny you." If I wanted, I can deny you. Because said, I got to give it up. I got to release what it is you're asking me for. because what you said was in alignment with what heaven is saying, what heaven has declared. So listen, this is
Listen, sis, I just thought about something. I'm gonna sit down.
what you
When
think.
before you came on and when you first got on and start speaking,
Mhm.
and you said, because you were speaking, you're dealing with you dealing with air, and then my air conditioner came on. You said, "What's that air?" What was it? The timing of that
Oh
was
my,
just, it was so, the pivotal, because it came in at the time what you were saying.
oh my God. That's so amazing. Two things that you mentioned that because two things have happened. I remember the one right now. But the other one has slipped me for a moment. But I do remember the one. And I was walking through my house. And when I got to a certain point, I heard this
Mhm,
in my ears.
mhm, mhm,
Me think about was like, when you're going past something and the windows are down, you're going,
mhm.
but how
Yeah.
or like a timing thing. Because understand, I'm so torn as to what this image should look like for the rest of this season because I have so many different things, and maybe it'll be a different image, like I had to do the last time. But this thing about time
Mhm,
really weighing on me
mhm, mhm,
because I felt like I had walked through a time warp. I felt like I had walked through a portal, and I was going fast.
mhm, mhm,
This is
mhm.
why I was hearing this whooshing in my ear, like I,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm, mhm,
Didn't feel anything that was abnormal. It was just my ears heard me walk into the portal.
mhm, mhm,
You know, normal environment, just walking through. You don't understand who you are,
mhm,
where you're walking, and what you're walking through as you're declaring, as you're saying, as you are sounding this trumpet, as you are
mhm,
blasting this frequency. You don't understand
mhm.
impact that it's making in your environment.
Yes, yes,
Just don't understand. So I'm gonna let y'all go because it sounded like I was about to start being noisy and doing a bunch and
yes.
tonight. I don't
Oh,
endure. Okay.
all right, all right.
Listen, we love you. This is Yom Teruah 5784, and there will be more because we got Yom Kippur coming up, the Day of Atonement, and we've
Mhm.
got just so many things to talk about. We're stepping
Yes.
to dimensions that we only dreamed of before. And the Father has already declared it. When Job, when he had that wealth, the young men had to put their hands over their mouth. That's the
Mm.
kind of place that the Father is taking the sons to in this season, where it makes people put their hands over their mouth. It's like, oh my, you know,
Right, right, right.
going to. And it matters what we say.
Hmm.
You're either prolonging it or you're hastening it. I'm encouraging you today. Hasten to hear what the Father is saying. Hasten to do what He's commanded you to do, and He will hasten the promise for you.
Yes, yes.
Listen, the body's not a me thing, it's a we thing. Uh, I love you so much. And, brother, do you want to say good night?
Love you all, brothers and sisters in law. I love you forever.
Absolutely. Listen, until next time, shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.